they went to the queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Here, take the bomb.
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Hello. Okay. Well, good morning, peasants.
Woohoo.
Welcome to another episode of Peasant Perspective. I've been saying good morning for like 45 seconds.
Good morning.
Yeah. a million and one times.
Hopefully it's good.
Okay. Let's see where we're streaming. Got to do that every day because
we're OCD.
Because we're OCD. Yeah. Guys, there's a lot of stress in putting this thing on. Did we end up? It looks like YouTube bunked again.
What?
Oh, and of course, now we've got myself in my ear. We do this to you every morning. It's abusive. I know. Oh, we're so bad. Here we go. Okay,
You're
we're good on Facebook.
Where are you posting from?
Okay, well, it looks like we made it everywhere except for YouTube because YouTube stinks. Okay. Good morning, everybody. So we are going to, I just want to give everybody a heads up while I change the sound on my computer. Jeez. I mean, this is 6:30 in the morning. It comes fast. It comes fast.
Yeah.
And we got a live show, so it's like countdown, and we're doing everything we possibly can. So I am traveling this weekend, and so it is up in the air how we're going to do the podcast Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So just be aware. We don't know what we're doing. We're still alive. We will be back. So FYI on that one. Okay. Warning. You guys are going to see something that isn't really that big a deal in all honesty, but it's a warning. We're going to be hearing about boobs. We got to start the show hearing about boobs. Listen to this clip, and then we're going to talk about what you guys think and what Ron thinks, because when I heard this, my jaw hit the floor.
Holy hell.
But they told me, they were like, we want to make them natural because we don't want you to look like a porn star. And now I'm a porn star.
Dude, they do look natural as
Yeah. Like, they're really good.
Those are real.
Those are real.
Baby
My Ariel-
clothes. Yeah, I can say. Yeah, those aren't store-bought. Those are God-given.
Yeah, now I'm just saying. Well,
Yeah, that's it.
Freeze.
And they like feel real.
But-
like they just like jiggle right. So they did good.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, this is premiere. I mean, I'm not criticizing plastic surgery. I'm not opposed to enhancing things. Not a problem. In fact, one of the things that a lot of really conservative Christian Mormons, really conservative, obviously I have an archetype in my mind, but a lot of really conservative, more old school Republican types, there's a whole generation of essentially what you would consider liberated, like, you know, not what you want culture that are super MAGA, super patriotic, even kind of in this weird new age Christian thing going on. There's a lot of them, believe it or not. There's like a lot of, when I was in prison, got a lot of these, but one of my cellmates was actually in the adult film industry.
Oh, no.
And he'd tell you it's pretty MAGA.
Oh, no.
So anyways, wow.
Mm-hmm. The Air Force did my boobs, but I was
What?
because there was only an Air Force plastic surgeon nearby.
Oh, so they legitimately did it on base.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
Free.
dope.
free of charge, just your
No
tax-paying dollars. That's it.
So what was your time for rest?
Free titties.
Holy.
Dang.
So what? I know most of our audience is like, what does this have to do with nothing?
Well,
he's talking plastic surgery.
I mean,
Nope, that wasn't why I played the clip. Ron got it. Go.
Well, I know some people that have gone through the military and got an education, became dentists and that kind of thing. What the heck?
So what's crazy about this is, first of all, that plastic surgeon could be making a lot of money on the outside.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So he's probably, in the middle of his training phase, and he had to do some work.
Second thing, and just for the audio listeners, it was we weren't seeing anything. We just saw generally. So point is, the Air Force paid for that for an active duty member.
Wow.
That's the point of that story.
Yeah.
On their, and we don't want to make you look like a porn star or make him look natural, but you got an exit strategy now, I guess. And the military was paying for transgender surgeries. I was not aware that they were paying for voluntary cosmetic surgeries.
I was not either.
Wow. Really?
And was that done so that some guy could get a surgery experience?
I don't know. But
because that's why I brought up the dentist thing, because dentists do that all the time where they do free work.
That particular surgery does not increase military readiness.
No,
in fact, you could make a clear argument that it decreases military readiness, all kinds of things. Okay, like
in all metrics,
there is no metric where bigger boobs on an Air Force officer makes you more of a warrior. That's not how that works.
It'd be like this.
You have a larger surface area for targeting. You've got.
It'd be like this. Ding, 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 ding. What?
Yeah, this is pure psyop. This is a pure psyop. Anyways, I was like, wow, that just blew me away. I'm not arguing that you shouldn't be able to do that. I'm arguing that I shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see the benefit.
Well, I was trying to think of a way that this could be possible, and I'd be okay with paying for it.
No, there isn't. Like,
so back to that dentist thing. I mean, they have guys that they come up in the military and they were dentists and they do free work. Well, is this guy a surgeon in the Air Force and he's doing free work on people just to get the experience? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Just for a second. I don't really care.
I mean, clearly the military has plastic surgeons for people that have got to do face grafts and skin grafts. And,
okay.
They do reconstructive. I mean, I'm sure they produce some great plastic surgeons who get a lot of practice. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
It's this isn't, I don't see evidence that she had an IED blast that took out, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what it was.
No, I was trying to be generous and it failed. So
yeah.
Clearly this is not necessary.
Yeah. So one of the things that I had the interesting opportunity to do in my journey through the prison system was I met actual Nazis.
What?
Yeah, like guys who actually have swastika tattoos and things like that. Met quite a few of them, a lot of them.
Okay.
They're associated with the Aryan race and different white supremacist, separatist movements and stuff like that. And they're kind of generally the white gang.
Is this like the Northern Idaho guys?
Maybe. I mean, these
adjacent.
are real Nazis. These are like people put like Adolf Hitler tattoos.
Ugh,
so
okay.
One time I was in the Oklahoma City Transfer Center, and there's this guy comes up to me. I was in the food line, and this guy comes up and he's tattooed. He's got a shaved head, goatee. He's got a skull cap tattoo, so his whole head is tattooed.
Okay.
White guy, clear white supremacist, missing like right half of the top of his jaw.
I just don't understand how people think that's a good look. I don't get it.
I don't know, man. I can't explain it. It becomes so normal in there. You see it so much. It's like picking a shirt color. It's like
Okay.
it becomes who they are. But anyways, he comes up and he's like, "Oh, you J6er?" It's like, "Yeah." And he puts his head down like this, and he's got Donald Trump's mugshot tattoo, skull cap. Okay, and then under it has a banner that says "Fuck the Feds." FTF. That was a real common tattoo. FTF or F the Feds. Like that was real common, right?
Okay.
Because
I
you're in
get
federal
that.
prison. Anyways,
Yeah.
but he had the Donald Trump. He's like, "We love Donald Trump. My wife on the outside, she loves MAGA." And he's going off. And it's like, okay. Later, I see him coming out of the shower, and he's got a shirt off, and he's got Goebbels on one. Like, we're talking full back piece. Goebbels on one half and Adolf Hitler on the other. They're looking at each other in full Nazi garb. I'm like, wow. I mean,
What?
unbelievable artwork.
Are they
the choice of
saluting
subject
each
is
other?
a little questionable. No, they were just standing there, like with their little
They're not
caps.
kissing or something.
Anyways, pretty nuts.
Okay, weird.
So there was another guy that was in Missouri, and this guy's name was, you're not going to believe it, was Billy Bob.
Okay, no, I believe that.
Yeah. So actually it was Billy. It was Billy. Anyways, anyways, Billy Bob. It was Billy Bob, Billy
Any
Joe. Doesn't
derivation
matter. It was Billy.
thereof would fit.
And this is a guy, he was toothless, but he had dentures. So sometimes you'd see him gumming around. Sometimes you'd see him with really nice, beautiful teeth.
Poor dude.
And he'd been, I don't know his whole story, but he was actually getting out. He was really close to the door.
All right.
And he served, I think he'd been in there quite a while. But he was a legitimate white supremacist, old school, 1%er motorcycle gang, like old school. Okay. And I come in and I'm a January 6er and I'm accused of being a white supremacist, and I'm getting all of the street cred for being a white supremacist, whatever, that he's worked his whole life to get. Now, keep in mind, I'm a political prisoner, okay, of the regime that they're running a black woman, right? So to him, like, you'd think I would be like, that's why the white supremacists, like, they kind of held us around on this little platter, like, oh, look at our little terrorist, you know, like, they're homegrown, you know, join the club. And it was like, no, we have different objectives, okay? It's like, really, truly, there was, you know, like, there was some of that. But this guy, didn't like me, okay? So I come in and
maybe you saw us through some of the street cred stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I come in and I'm in the TV room one day and there's a guy in there named Popcorn.
Okay.
I don't know. That's his name, Popcorn. Okay. So Popcorn's sitting there and Popcorn's pretty cool.
You know, the more you describe these prison situations, the more ridiculous they sound. I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry.
This was a deadly serious moment. It's going to get real serious here in a second. Okay. So I'm in the TV room, and keep in mind, I'm in prison watching my future play out in the primaries and in the election
with popcorn.
With popcorn. So Popcorn's a super, like, loves Trump, but he thinks that Kamala's going to win. Okay?
Oh, no. Okay.
So, but he thinks that Trump might have won the 2020 election. They were all in prison anyways, right? So they said what they saw on TV. But he goes, hey, what did they call me when I first got there? Because this is like my first or second week. They called me, he's like, I moved on from the nickname Stormy. I had the nickname Stormy for a minute, but I can't remember what it was. But he's like, hey, Jay Sixer, you know, hey, tell him about the 2020 election. And I go, oh, well, you know, and I start kind of rattling off a few things. And then this white supremacist guy, he just goes, hey, nobody stole nothing from Donald Trump. And I'm like, well, but then you got this situation in Pennsylvania. He's like, look, you little motherfucker. And he just went off. And he's like, you tried to take over the guy you deserve to be in a federal penitentiary, you little piece. And he went off. And like, we kind of like, I had to like,
whoa,
like we were stood up and I was just like, whoa, like, is this where I get my first stabbing? You know what I mean? Like, what's happening
I'm
here?
getting shanked
It was
here.
serious. So he was like going off. And so anyways, I kind of diffused it. I was like, oh, well, no problem. And he just kind of just walked off and clamping his gums, you know. But the entire rest of the time, it became like this energy, like this vampire thing. And he's like, he would tell people, he's like, well, I'm a Republican, but I don't like Donald Trump. So it was, I think Nikki Haley should have gotten it. It was like, you're vote for the Indian now? You're betraying your white supremacy principles? You know what I mean? It's like, this guy was so, he just hated the fact that Donald Trump was like, the neo-Nazis and white supremacists should be condemned totally. Well, screw him. And the next thing you know, it's like, vote for the black woman. I can't know. You know, they had nowhere to go with this. They were completely like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so on one hand, they love him and his policies, but they kind of hate everything else about him, you know? His daughter married a Jew. His other daughter married a Muslim. Like, it's just no good. And it made me think of this. You know, sometimes the Babylon Bee hits it on the head because this guy I'm talking about actually looked like this man here. And this is precisely what he would have said had he, you know, this is exactly the truth. And this is part of the thing when you accuse people that are not of something, it dilutes what it really means to be something. And when you've really met a Nazi, you understand. When you call me a Nazi, it's so funny, it's laughable.
I've been a Nazi as long as I can remember. I believe all the standard Nazi stuff. I hate minorities and undesirables. I think Aryans should rule the world. The Third Reich shall rise again. All the classics. But it's not as fun to be a Nazi anymore.
Okay.
When they started...
Hold on.
Is this a clip or is this a real-
Nazi as long as I can remember. I believe all the standard Nazi stuff. I hate minorities and undesirables. I think Aryans should rule the world. The Third Reich shall rise again. All the classics. But it's not as fun to be a Nazi anymore. When they started calling Elon Musk a Nazi and Trump and, pretty much every Republican, it made it a lot harder for me to stand out. It's like I go out in public and I'm like, hey, everyone, I'm a Nazi. And they're like, big deal. Everyone we don't like is a Nazi. It makes me feel less special. This swastika armband, it used to mean something. Now I'm walking down the street and every Tesla has a swastika painted. Every Republican's garage door has one. I just can't stand out from the crowd. I guess I just want to go back to the old days when being a Nazi meant something. Because if we change the definition of Nazi to include any old Joe walking down the street, it loses its power. Because when everyone's a Nazi, no one is.
I agree with that take.
So I saw that. I was like, it's Billy. Oh my gosh. That's exactly what his hang-up was. He was so mad that we got street cred, right? And like legitimacy through the political icons that they had, but yet they were still trash. When everyone's a Nazi, no one's a Nazi. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hey, like I'm a Nazi. Big deal.
Everybody hates you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Popcorn came up to me later. I was like, hey man, sorry, I didn't know he'd go off like that. And I was like, thanks for the setup. Jeez, man, I almost died. It was bad. Oh, geez. So Trump had, he's had this amazing tour through the Middle East, and he gave, this is a little, what's happening? This is a little bit more from the speech he gave, and let's take a listen. And there is such an incredible reframing that's happening right now. It's really stunning. There's just this undertone of things are changing. People are realigning. Like Trump cut off Netanyahu, and Israel will always be our ally. But we're also now creating alliances with other partners in the Arab world that are becoming very okay with Israel and commercial trade. I mean, things are really changing.
Yeah, there's some economic prosperity happening.
In the early 2000s and the early aughts, the Middle East was ruled by a bunch of 80-year-olds, right, who were very conservative.
They were very stuck in the sand.
Yes. And now it's being ruled by a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds. Mohammed bin Salman's my age, right? And these, so it's changing. Matt Gaetz said, they've become more liberal. They appreciate, the West,
different
the culture,
outlook for the future.
They appreciate the openness. So that part of the world needs progressivism. In our part of the world, in a big part, we need some conservatism. You know what I'm saying? Like we've gone from paying for boobs as a government thing when a perk of joining the military versus, you know what I mean? We need to get a little bit more conservative and stuff like that. They're on the other end where it's like, hey, you should probably let women drive. Which they have, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So and Trump's point was like countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and EUA, they looked within to find the solutions. That's the populist solution. And when I read that book about Mohammed bin Salman, it detailed the Khashoggi murder and all that kind of stuff. It was ugly. Yeah. And these guys are dictators. They can rule their countries with an iron thumb. So when they do liberalize, you have to recognize they're giving away their power. They're doing that because of that's not the way the system is for them. They're pushing against it. It's similar to when Trump gives power back to us. The system's designed to take it. And those countries had consolidated power completely, right, over time. And so his opening up is a big deal. They turned within. He went to the imams and he's like, look, we're going to let women drive. And they're like, well, you can't because of this. And he let the debate happen. And then he slowly introduced it, you know what I mean? And changed the conservatives where then the imams were like, well, I guess it is okay that women drive. He got the conservative faction to change their teaching to then change the entire culture. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
it's pretty masterful what they're doing. So on one hand, yes, he's brutal. Probably he clearly was complicit in the murder of Khashoggi. I don't think he ordered it. At least they don't think he did. It was one of his security prince crown peoples, because they've all got so much power and private militias fighting around. That's one of the things. These Saudi and these Arabian leaders are in reality a tribal warlord.
Mm-hmm.
They're the warlord of warlords.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to recognize, like, there's other people that have power and their little feudal dynasties going. It's kind of like, it's no different in our country. You get certain families that just kind of like, so that family just is the governor. You know what I mean? Like, they always have somebody floating around that executive office. You see it. Okay, so this is a Trump speech Trump gave. Beautiful speech.
1,000 years, the world will look at this region not as a place of turmoil and strife and war and death, but as a land of opportunity and hope, just like you've done right here, a cultural and commercial crossroads of the planet. Security and stability will lift millions into lives of safety and success, and the nations of this region will be free to realize your highest destinies, honor your proud histories, harness amazing new opportunities, and bring incredible glory to Almighty God. People will come from all over the globe to be inspired by the cities you build, the businesses you create, the technologies you invent, and the beauty, talent, and potential you unleash right in the hearts of your citizens. Each of you will be able to take tremendous pride in the legacy you will leave to your children, because you will have given them the ultimate blessings of prosperity and peace. So important. In the United States, we've launched the golden age of America. It's the golden age. We see it. We see it with all that money, trillions and trillions, dollars pouring in, hundreds of thousands of jobs coming in with it. And with the help of the people of the Middle East, people in this room, partners throughout the region, the golden age of the Middle East can proceed right alongside of us. We will work together. We will be together. We will succeed together. We will win together. And we will always be friends.
I love the way Donald Trump always seems to, it's like, the United States has had such huge control in that region. And the control comes along with the commercial interest, right? But it's been an enforced control. And yesterday we played the clip where he talks about people flying in their fancy jets and tell you how to live, right? And what he's doing, he's saying, look, we're going to grow together. You're doing, you know what I mean? He's just giving it back to them. And this is actually the response that one of the audience.
Before you go on, I also like the imagery of that meeting where they have our flag and the Saudi flag on opposite sides of the panel. And then also in the center, whoever came up with this design is genius. They created a new little symbol where they combined the flags into a circle. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I've seen that in some of these other media events too. And I think that's a brilliant thing where they combine the two flags to show how the people are cooperating. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a female there that was listening. Now, I've got to be honest, right? After reading that MBS book, you can't really trust any kind of clips or news that come out of or really most countries.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just something to be aware of. So this could
everything's filtered.
So I listen to this. There could be a plant, but I also look at this and I think this is pretty genuine. Okay.
I could have sat there. The way he did it, the tone of his voice, and the points that he chose. I mean, if you want from a point of social, you want a point from political, you want a point from business, you want a point from defense, you want a point from technology. He covered all those and just did it in such a elegant way.
Truth is that he obviously cares about peace around the world. And he spent his entire, 4 or 5 months of his administration sending his emissaries around the world to create peace deals.
On for another hour, I could have sat there. The way he did it,
she's
the tone.
a biotech executive, so she actually isn't just some random propagandist.
Well, she speaks very good English.
Yeah. The other thing that happened too is, so this gentleman right here used to be a leader of Al Qaeda, and one of their Al Qaeda S or C or whatever branch, right? It was like the Al Qaeda Syria network. Now, keep in mind, one man's terrorist is another man's revolutionary. Right? Like George Washington was a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
It was Henry David Thoreau, who commented that, he's like, the machine, the system, the government always labels Christ and Galileo and Washington and Franklin as rebels, right? And it's like, duh, hello. And then history vindicates him. So this is a person, he's obviously got terrorism ties, have done bad things. Look in the mirror. Hello, George Washington crossed the Delaware to slit his enemies' throats in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, don't fall victim to this, like, they're not brutal in their own regard.
Have a hoe and another hoe. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, slice. Like, you know, you've got to be prepared to do massive amounts of violence when you're standing up on principle. So I don't know this guy's principles. I don't know what he's fighting for. I don't know if he was radicalized and became a terrorist because he was trying to liberate his neighborhood from a oppressive regime, which I believe the Assad regime was, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But Assad fell. He's exiled. He's living in some apartment in Russia. He's done. Syria is a failed state. He's taken control of the political apparatus. Now, there's been some bad things happening in Syria, some slaughtering of Christians, the Kurds, all this other stuff. But here he is with his Arab brothers, with their support, Qatar, EUA, Saudi Arabia, with a business plan and a model for success to bring Syria back to relevance. He's got Turkey right there in the, you know, connected to it, borders on Israel. It's a critical, crucial junction in the world. There's a reason why we've been so involved in Syria and Russia and everyone else. So the fact that he gets up here and Donald Trump lifts sanctions and that this isn't happening in Moscow or happening in Beijing is a big, big deal.
Citizens, the path and the road is still long, and we are about to start the revolution of Syria so that we can transform Syria and make Syria a country of work and prosperity. And from here, we confirm that Syria will commit to strengthening the investment climate in Syria so that we can enable the unlocking of the capitals within Syria and outside Syria so that we can reconstruct the country together. We welcome all the investors from inside and outside the countries and from Syria and from also Turkey and all our friends. And we call on them, we urge them to benefit from the different opportunities in the different domains and fields. My dear fellows,
this is the difference between getting Taiwan and not getting Taiwan.
What was the source on that?
Controlling Cambodia or not. This was Al Jazeera.
Oh, okay.
Al Jazeera. Great network. Okay, so that's a big deal. Jury's out on if he's the right leader or not. I have no idea. But here's a breakdown that shows you exactly what it is Trump has just accomplished and just how significant this is.
Breaking news, Trump didn't just lift sanctions on Syria. He fired a shot at every global institution that thought they still ran the world. No UN approval, no congressional vote, just one handshake, and 10 years of isolation vanished. For over a decade, Syria was locked out of the global economy. Now, Trump opened the gates with a single move, and this wasn't charity. It was calculated disruption. In return, Syria, backed by Gulf funding, is launching a new AI energy corridor. That corridor bypasses Chinese ports, redirects European oil flow, and places Washington, not Brussels or Beijing, back at the center of global infrastructure. Trump didn't send troops. He sent business plans. And for the American people, cheaper oil billions in defense contracts, one less endless war draining your wallet. But beyond politics, one thing is clear. Trump didn't wait to win back the White House to start acting like he owns the map. You might not like how he plays the game, but when was the last time foreign policy actually paid off for you?
The AI voices are getting better.
It is, right? The AI voice is getting better. Great little breakdown there.
Yeah.
Right. When you look at a map and where Syria is at, Syria was a pinch point where now your land bridge for oil, you need pipelines and stuff like that, right? Like, so that's where Russia comes in. They're selling oil to Germany. Well, why not through the Middle East? You know what I mean? Because allegedly Russia's a problem, or are we going to bring them in the fold too? There's so much on the board here. It's really incredible. We've got to be careful not to be attached to the way things are, right? All the time, especially when they don't work. There's this the Democrats, Matt Van Swole posted this. It's pretty interesting. So let me get this straight. In the Democrat Party, in the matter of 7 days, is now officially against legal immigration, okay, with the white Afrikaners, the refugees, and all that kind of stuff. They're against lowering prescription drug costs. Mm-hmm. They're against locking up violent criminals. Mm-hmm. They're for supporting endless wars. And they're for breaking into prisons.
I could get behind all that.
What's happening?
It's so crazy.
There's this right here. This is freaking hilarious to me. Oh, where is it? No. Oh, here it is. Okay.
All the people that want to defend all that, it's like, what the hell is wrong with you people?
This is, well, let me do this first. No, I already jumped into it. Okay, so here's Gavin Newsom talking about, he did this press conference. Dude, Ron, you're going to laugh so hard. We've been watching Gavin Newsom now for what, almost a decade?
I better turn my volume down.
We've been watching Gavin Newsom for, has he been in office? About a decade? Right, 9 years, something like that. Long time. He survived a couple recalls. Okay? Everybody I know in California will tell you the problems that's happened. We've just watched the fires run through, which a whole series of fires year after year. It's a mess. It's a mess, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's moving out. There's a lot of immigration backfilling in the places. Big businesses are leaving.
Massive homelessness.
So all of a sudden, here's Gavin Newsom's. He had a full-on press conference meltdown yesterday.
Right.
I'm just on behalf of the taxpayers of the state, in the spirit of Ashley's question, I'm not interested. I'm just not, as a taxpayer, not just governor, I'm not interested in funding failure anymore. I'm not. I won't. Time to do your job. People are dying on their watch. How do people get reelected? Look at these encampments. They're a disgrace. They've been there years and years and years and years. I've heard that same rhetoric for years. People are dying. Kids are being born.
What?
Overdoses. I met a young man, literally, was out there doing Project Homeless Connect, reaching out near the 405 freeway. I found out the next day he was dead.
What?
In this name of compassion, because we had a notice. I could have helped him that night. I felt like a fraud. I felt like I let him down. We got to be more aggressive.
Go with that.
I saw a young child, a young kid in San Diego. He was with the mayor of San Diego right before his State of the State. This poor kid was addicted to meth. He was a wonderful kid. And he said, I'm really glad you came. He goes, I'm struggling. And there in the tent with his wife was a newborn baby. He said, thank you for coming. There's no compassion in denying what the hell's going on in the streets and sidewalks. They need to step up. Enough of the rhetoric. I'm serious. Enough of the rhetoric. People are
really
dying
good Biden
in
impression.
this state. It is a disgrace. It is one of the principal reasons people are so angry. They don't trust politicians. They don't like what they see. I'm sorry to get so intense about it. It's a moral issue. They need to do their job. And if they can't do it, let me know. Just say, we give up. And then we'll intervene. We'll come up with different strategies. I'm sick and tired of all the barriers and all the BS.
You know, all those clips where they like mash this stuff up and make a rap out of it. This is like freaking gold.
You said the AI voice was getting better. I don't even know anymore. I watched something like this. They've got these clips of Donald Trump being like, this executive order bringing back the word retard. It's like, what was that?
Yeah,
what was that?
I don't
Where
know.
have you been? Where have you been?
Was
we
that
gotta
real?
Clean up these tent encampments. Dude, they've been like, the peasants have been telling you allowing the tent encampments is not compassionate. It's not compassion.
Was that a real clip?
Yeah, this was
Are you
press
kidding?
conference yesterday. That wasn't AI. I was joking about that. That's really that was yesterday.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad.
This is a political tactician. He's reading the room and going, deportation, law and order seems to be the clarion song of the day.
So I'm just gonna 180 flip instamatically
and blame everybody else. Well, how do you even get reelected?
Yeah,
Gavin, you know damn well how they get reelected.
I've been here for a decade. How does this happen?
You know damn well how they get reelected. Remember that we're going to prosecute you if you even ask for ID at the voter booth, Gavin. The bill that says we're going to count votes until the person we want wins. Bill, Gavin. That's why people are a little. Why do you keep getting reelected, Gavin?
How did that even happen?
Earth to Gavin. Wow.
Wow.
Talk about not getting it. Holy smokes. Okay. So this is Marianne Williams. Now, Marianne Williams, she was the presidential candidate. She tried to run for the Democrat Party. Now, she's known to be a little bit, love, peace, hippie, that kind of thing. But, she's smart and she's very wealthy. I don't know. She was on the, Timcast show, and he asked her some principled questions, and she made a principled answer, and it was good. It was a good answer. And then things got a little weird.
If you were to say a fair trial would not be possible, so we're going to do it here anyway, would you find that acceptable in terms of how our system is supposed to work?
No, but I've never heard a judge say that.
So,
a judge, I've never heard a judge say, and by the way, I'm having a little difficulty here because I think now it's a little too loud. And
okay, so I've never heard a judge say that. So he says, if a judge says you can't get a fair trial, what happens? Well, I've never heard a judge say that. If they did, okay, in my case, my judge told me before I had trial that you're going to go to prison for a long time. It's like judicial bias 101. There's lots of things that happen in these courtrooms, especially federal ones, where there's no cameras or anything like that. And even in the state ones, there's crazy things that happen, and they just kind of push them through. And a lot of normal Americans can't believe it when they go back and find out something happened.
And that doesn't sound like a crazy thing to say, except for it's coming from a judge with a presumption of an outcome.
Exactly. So in this case, if you can't get a fair trial, what do? We tout the Constitution, and you guys are out here talking due process, which, by the way, due process is not a thing. Due process is a phrase. The process you are due. As in, if you're an illegal and someone says, hey, can I see your paperwork? That's a process, and you are due at least being asked. Because if they just see brown skin and go, you're illegal, there would be no due process. But if they see you and go, can I see your papers? That's the process that you were due to identify yourself. And if you fail to identify yourself as a citizen, then you can gladly be deported. That's process
a different process.
You are due. Okay, you're not due habeas corpus and trial by jury. That's not due process. Due process does not describe a judicial procedure. It prescribes the process you are due. Okay, that's it. That's what it means. Okay,
the process you are due could be a varied
I get
thing.
Due process when I apply for a building permit because I'm given the process I am due for that procedure. Okay, so it's not a thing. It's just two words. The process you are due. You get your due process. You get asked. In America, we believe in due process. We don't just deport you without asking you if you're legal or not. Yeah. And if you say I'm not, then you're out. If you say you are, I say, and I still suspect, I say, can I see your paperwork? Right. You know what I mean? Okay, so she's being asked this question about this very obvious. Like, if you can't get a fair trial, should you get a trial at all?
I'm talking weird because I'm...
No, you're
I've never heard a judge say, I admit you couldn't get a fair trial here, but we're going ahead with the trial anyway. And I don't agree with every judge, but that's just something.
And what do you think would be like? Let's say that hypothetically happened, and there was someone who was being charged with a crime, and the judge said they petitioned for a change of venue, and the judge says there's nowhere you can go that will free you from the bias of this place, so we're doing it here anyway.
I don't think that would be right, and somebody would be petitioning somebody. I mean, even in those cases, there is such a thing as judicial prejudice. Somebody would be arguing that there was judicial prejudice, and the case would not stop there.
What if the case did stop there, and the man
if the case did stop there, I'd be the first to say this is wrong.
So, will you stand up in defense of Derek Chauvin?
Wow.
Derek Chauvin,
I understand. I know
for a
who
change
Derek
of venue,
Chauvin. Are you?
And the judge said there's no venue you can go to where you'll be free of any bias. So we do it.
She knows exactly what just happened. That happened to him. I'll be the first to stand up. Will you? Will you? You are running for president. So right now, I'm going to see the medal of your merit. I want to see your backbone right now. I'd be the first to stand up if I saw judicial bias.
All right, let's hear it.
Somebody will fight for it.
Here anyway. So is the issue...
Wasn't there some legitimacy to that, given the fact that everybody saw the video? Everybody saw the video, so how could there be...
So he doesn't really need a fair trial, because everybody saw the video. There was legitimacy, right?
Lack of prejudice anywhere.
Right.
So are you saying...
So the question is about the Constitution and what is fair in the court of law, and not what we want to have happened because of our feelings. So if the issue is a judge says there will be no fair trial for you, my argument is then there's no trial at all. And the man should be released because that's a limitation of our democratic system.
That's what your argument would be?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you and I totally disagree on that one.
If a court cannot grant a fair trial,
principles, you just made this kind of, I would be the first to stand up, or the last, or the
never,
last,
or never,
or the last.
Under the Constitution, then the court cannot imprison a person.
Yeah, well, you and I don't agree on that one.
So you,
tyrant, tyrant. Love, peace, living with the conversation.
So her argument is you just throw him in jail anyways.
Get some crystals. Oh, I don't agree with that.
Just throw him in jail anyways.
That people should be, the state should be allowed to imprison people even without due process?
I think that that was an overriding circumstance of the fact that the judge was correct. There could.
Oh, so in overriding circumstances, let's do what we want to do.
There were very few people in the United States who had not seen the video. That's all the judge was saying. The judge was saying, we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best in the way we interrogate people to make sure that they will be as non-prejudiced as possible. But the judge was admitting there's no location where it's going to be any different.
If a judge were principles, she reasoned back her principles. And by the way, yes, you could have got a fair trial in another location. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you look at the jury selection, they weren't unaware.
I'm not sure that I've seen the Derek Chauvin video. I'm not even sure.
George Floyd.
Oh,
Derek Chauvin is the cop that kneeled on George Floyd.
Okay, yeah.
And he's up for getting a federal pardon right now for his 22-year hate crime sentence, 21-year hate crime sentence. He's got a 22-year murder sentence in Minnesota that he'd have to serve out because that's Minnesota. But, he wasn't going to get a fair trial. It's crazy. Now, I agree, like, if you can't get a fair trial, you shouldn't have any trial. My argument isn't that you couldn't get a fair trial in the country. Is you could find some backwoods holla, courthouse up in, North Idaho or something that was unaffected by the riots or anything like that. You probably could get a really fair trial.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? You could even that's what I'm saying. You got to get him out of Minneapolis, got to get him out of probably Minnesota.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse in a certain degree. I think they opted to want to kind of stay there. I think there was a 50-50 because it was like, well, people were affected by the violence and he's kind of a local hero or a hero for it versus whereas Derek Chauvin, he was just demonized all around.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, the P. Diddy trial continued. This is kicking off some interesting news. What happened to I
don't know, but that whole thing was right in the middle of, defund the police in that crazy movement.
It was, yeah, which started in Ferguson, Missouri. Okay. Sorry, guys. I got to open my monitor for a minute.
Did it just fall asleep?
Don't know what happened. If I unplug this, you go down, don't you?
Yeah, for a second.
It won't go down completely.
Yeah, you're good.
It came back for you?
No, it's black.
We have wires with dongles poking in the computers.
There it is. It's back.
One got loose. All right. So this P. Diddy trial took a weird turn yesterday.
What day are we on? Day 4?
4 or 5.
Okay.
In Missouri at the prison, I was in a mental hospital, right? We had 910 building, which was a big psych ward. I mean, this is where the people, the Hannibal Lecters go.
So the whole time you were there?
This was the max. So I've met people with paranoid ideation and schizophrenia and low IQ and you know what I mean? All that kind of, I've met some people like that. So this guy I can see this right here, knowing the system. I've also met people. There's one guy who I featured on the show, Earl. He called in one day. He's stuck in that psych ward. They've determined that he's schizophrenic and got, delusion or whatever. And really what it is his cases involving some military stuff and he's kind of whistleblowing. And then he feels like he got a little targeted and he's been in for 43 months, pre-trial, no trial. And they've worked him through this mental health thing because of what he alleged that one of his commanders was involved with, is what his belief is. Okay.
Oh,
so point is, this stuff happens. That's the reality of it. That's why when the Marianne Williamses are like, well, I don't know if you can't get a fair trial. It's like, yeah, this is why we can't let someone like you run, is because you let it be weaponized. It's not about justice. The brilliance of Donald Trump with the J6 thing. You notice how he doesn't he talks about us. I did a good thing. I helped him. He talks about us broadly. He never goes one-on-one or anything like that because look, it's a big group. But the whole thing was an injustice.
Well, you don't want to get meddled down in the details.
No, the whole thing was an injustice, right? The whole fair trial issue. So this Diddy Combs thing, there's this guy a while back. I don't know if you remember. He walked into the Trump Doral Club and started shooting things up. So he's in jail right now for shooting up a Trump Doral Club. Turns out,
A
Trump
what club?
shooter.
What club?
Trump's golf club.
Oh, okay.
The Doral Club in New Jersey. Trump club shooter who claimed he was Diddy's sex slave was hired by music mogul Casey Testifies, a former porn star who's engaged in a shootout.
So in May of 28
with cops. He got in a shootout with the cops in the lobby of the Trump National Golf Club. Was identified by court as Cassie as someone Diddy allegedly hired for sexual encounters multiple times in Miami.
A man named Jonathan Odie opened fire at Donald Trump's Miami golf course and was shot and arrested by police. Odie said that he was in the middle of a bipolar episode. That's where it gets interesting. Later, while being questioned by Florida authorities, Odie brought up something totally unexpected. He claimed that he'd been a sex slave for Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. This video is courtesy of Real World Media. Take a look.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie.
Okay, so we don't need to hear all that. But what this goes on, basically, so he's arrested for this shootout in the golf club, right? And he comes in and he's like, oh, by the way.
It just starts talking about totally other stuff.
So his confession includes day 3. So this is day 3. Cassie Ventura stated that he had sexual encounters with Jonathan Odie as part of the freak offs orchestrated by Diddy. So he wasn't in the trial. It was Cassie testified that he was one of the people, right, who's sitting down in jail for this shootout. Okay. Ventura was shown videos of male sex workers she allegedly interacted with, and he was one of them. Okay. She testified that these encounters were under Combs' direction, supporting Odie's earlier claims from 2018 that he was involved in sexual acts with Ventura and YouTube. So this was back in 2018.
Whoa.
Who is Jonathan Odie? The guy in the video in 2018 he was arrested for shooting up a Trump National Golf Club in Miami. What he said in the interrogation was crazy. Listen to what he says. Odie said he was a sex slave for Sean Diddy Combs, hired for sexual acts with Cassandra Cassie Ventura during freak-offs. He claimed he recorded a session, texted Combs about it, and faced threats during a settlement meeting. So he got a settlement because he got herpes from them. Okay. So he had a settlement, obviously with an NDA, but he went a step further and actually took in a USB spy camera recorder and recorded some of his sessions, which is what gave legitimacy to what he's telling them, which might have been what opened up the whole Diddy case in the first place.
Oh my God.
He actually provided something.
This guy's a national hero.
So he has a bipolar episode, right? Goes in and shoots up a Trump club, gets in there, says, oh, by the way, I'm a Diddy sex slave, and here's a tape. And then he goes, and then he states, Combs won a settlement claiming $5 million for non-disclosure agreement in 2014 for getting herpes. Odie claimed Combs as part of a Sigma Phi the Boule, a Black Greek letter fraternity and Illuminati branch, and his name stands for an Illuminati New World Order agenda.
Oh my gosh.
Odie alleged Combs' attorney Mark Garagos represented Michael Jackson and Ben Misalas, worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years, and Hillary Clinton for 5.
What?
Odie suggested Jackson was overdosed and it wasn't a suicide.
Oh.
Odie claimed Osama bin Laden was a CIA creation, with Obama linked to 9/11 as part of a CIA New World Order agenda. Odie alleged DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and Combs are all gay. Khaled supports Moss, and Obama orchestrated a hip-hop agenda for New World Order goals. Odie claimed that CIA targeted Trump like JFK to destabilize the U.S. for New World Order as Trump opposed their agenda. And he's in an interrogation for getting in a shootout with cops inside the Trump Doral. Boys and girls, this man's involved with intelligence.
Hey, in fairness, if I was caught shooting up a flag, this is what I would say too. Hey, America, we need a new statue.
Take a moment and listen to just how he's talking here, okay?
I don't have it, but I can make it available of the music. Michael alone made $860 million alone last year, okay, in 2017, which who keeps that royalty? The music companies. Who represents the media and entertainment in the United States? Most of them, Mercedes, Kenny Mercedes, which is Goodman Mercedes shot. No offense with Obama. I love each and every American, but he was part of that 9/11 agenda. He's a CIA agent, an ex-CIA agent. That's why there's so much identity issues with Obama. Who knows his real name? They say he was born in Indonesia, and he's also born in Hawaii. Nobody knows. Why? Because he's an ex-CIA agent. Okay. Basically, Osama bin Laden never existed. It was the creation of the CIA, and it was Obama in a cave talking shit.
Man, he's just freestyling.
So there's your dating sex slave. I don't know what to think of it. I mean, clearly some of these topics we've come adjacent to. So is this like inside track? Hey, I know, or is this like this guy's going to end up in Missouri in 10 building? You know what I mean?
He's just freestyling.
Dude, he's just freestyling.
Obama's in a cave.
Obama's in a cave. Not Obama. Osama bin Laden. He's just a retard in a cave. Oh my goodness. So the inconsistency of like shooting up Trump, but then being like, oh yeah, the CIA is targeting him, and I'm working with the it's like, whoa.
I just shot up the lobby because I got some important stuff to lay down.
This guy might be an American hero. Here's the USB. Oh my gosh. Wow. Crazy.
The officers in that interview are probably just like, what the heck? Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Oh, dude, for sure. For sure.
We're out of tape.
Oh my gosh. The Democrats right now, we're going to do another little funny clip here because it's fun. Okay, so there's this old Beavis and Butthead. There's this old Beavis and Butthead clip about white privilege. Actually, we're going to get to this.
No.
We're going to get to this in a minute. We're going to wait on this one.
All right.
Okay, so yeah. So this is what is his name? Owen Schroyer, fellow J6er, got his 60 days. So this is Owen Schroyer just making a funny joke about the Democrats. But after the last week, and really, I mean, you know, the common sense revolution, like just going against everything that makes sense. This is basically his assessment of it. And there is a little bit of this. And you saw this with Marianne Williamson. Oh, I'm all high on principle. Right? Like it's going on all the time.
If Trump walks out on the street and says, my goodness, look at that dog shit. I wouldn't eat it. Don't eat dog shit. The Democrats would run over to that pile of steaming dog turds and start cramming it into their mouths and telling how good it tastes.
Oh, no.
Okay, so obviously you know what's been going on with the rioters, right?
Which ones? New riots?
The rioters up in Newark, New Jersey, with trying to get into the ICE detention facility.
Oh,
so
yeah, okay.
The funny thing about that is it just makes me, that's where I was thinking about this Beavis and Butthead video. So this is